Representative Marjorie Greene has a new conspiracy theory. Yes, a new conspiracy has dropped on Marjorie Greene's podcast. And basically, she's saying the government is going to track your poop.
You have to accept the fact that the government totally wants to provide surveillance on every part of your life. They want to know when you're eating. They want to know if you're eating a cheeseburger, which is very bad because Bill Gates wants you to eat his fake meat that grows in a Peachtree dish. So you'll probably get a little zap inside your body and that's saying, no, don't eat a real cheeseburger. You need to eat the fake burger, the fake meat from Bill Gates. They probably also want to know when you go to the bathroom and if your bowel movements are on time or consistent. I mean, what else do these people want to know?
I don't know who was with her there, but you could hear them laughing. Like when it gets even too absurd for whoever is filming or with Marjorie Greene. That was not me laughing. No. Wow. Okay. Fascinating. Hey, I wonder if the government's tracking us, right? And tracking the bowel movements or what we eat, if it's going to involve
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
I don't know. It might. Oh my God. So, and by the way, talking about, Bill Gates' fake meat.
I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.
Okay. With that all done, let's dive into it, okay? So you think the government that you work for and are a part of wants to shock people somehow, like, I don't know, like electric shocks or something, I don't know, for eating a cheeseburger, and then to track their poo and what they're eating. I mean, it doesn't. I'm gonna need. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna need to see some proposed legislation here that would prove that this is happening, or that this is on the docket. That somebody out there wants to do that. Oh, you don't have any? You can't point to one single shred of evidence? Well, that's because you're insane, and it's not true. Look, now, okay, so look, what she's talking about is there's a surveillance state, right? So this is a thing that actually does exist. There is a surveillance state in the United States. We've talked about this before. There's the real surveillance state, and then there's the fake one that conservatives make up in order to make themselves feel like victims. Okay, so now look, in the real surveillance state, and this has been documented before, by the way, American Muslims were profiled by the government after 9/11. American citizens that just happen to be Muslims being spied in their mosques as they go back and forth. They weren't doing anything wrong. They weren't committing any crimes. They were just Muslim. And the United States, after 9/11, spied on them, followed them around, tracked their internet use, tracked where they went. So that is the surveillance state, right? Now, they also, of course, pre-9/11, for example, the government also focused on tracking and disrupting left-wing activity, including socialist communists in the global South. CIA did some coups down in South America. Again, prior to 9/11, when there actually was not just a surveillance state, but a very big deep state that no longer really exists. And if they do, they're incredibly inept. But back then, there was some real shit. Now, they also, and this is more recent, Occupy Wall Street. They tracked and cracked down on Occupy Wall Street and other kind of leftist protest movements like pipeline protests and all that stuff. Now, this is all while the right wing was radicalizing. Now, so people like Greene are claiming that, oh no, big government, they're actually tracking us. Well, that's not true. In fact, back in 2009, a man named Daryl Johnson wrote a DHS report on right-wing extremism. So now, again, he was in the department, he was in the government, he's been tracking right-wing extremism. and wrote this giant report for the Obama, government, Obama administration. That ended up getting leaked to the press. So let me read you words that he had written in an article here. He said the Republican Party and conservative media were so offended by the term right-wing extremist and claimed that this report was an attack on conservatism, the GOP, and the newly formed Tea Party. Of course, you had Fox News that raged day and night, Rush Limbaugh, you name it. And so, look, the Obama administration, fearing the pushback that had already begun from Fox News, in his infinite weakness, had surrendered and dissolved the team that was tracking right-wing extremism. And within a few weeks after that, there was a killing of 3 police officers in Pittsburgh by a white supremacist. The murder of an abortion doctor in Kansas. Fatal shooting of 2 sheriff's deputies in Florida by a militia sympathizer. And the shooting of a guard at the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. And on and on and on. Numerous incidents. And yet the real surveillance state in this country did not track any of that. But if you were a pipeline protester against Keystone XL or Standing Rock, they were on that shit. They were right there, armed with as many weapons as they could find. And including water cannons in freezing temperatures. So that's the reality here. Now that same surveillance state, by the way, documented by Edward Snowden, for example, does collect everyone's metadata. It doesn't matter if you're conservative, doesn't matter if you're liberal, doesn't matter if you're progressive, doesn't matter if you're a MAGA guy. They collect all your metadata. And look, that same surveillance state also happened to listen in on soldiers having phone sex. So what they were doing was that. What they were not doing is tracking whether or not you had eaten a cheeseburger. I mean, and look, you know why, right? Because nobody cares. You think the government cares that you had a cheeseburger the other day? No. In fact, look, corporations, they run the government and they want people eating more cheeseburgers. I like cheeseburgers. I like bacon cheeseburgers. I've also eaten the plant-based kind. Those are all right. They're both pretty good. Yeah, and you know what? God bless America for allowing me to have the choice to eat a plant-based burger or a meat-based burger. I got the choice to eat whatever I want. That's great. But going back to Greene here in their bizarro fiction world, conservatives are the real victims in everything. They're taking away your steaks. They're taking away your burgers. They're filling a Peachtree dish meat with vaccines and along with the salad dressing. And so, look, all of this is, by the way, part of the underlying conservative desire to be a victim, to be the real victim here. Again, to feel oppressed. You'll polls out where a majority of Republicans say, oh, no, it's white people that are being oppressed here. We're the real victims. You want to be oppressed so badly that you make things up. And real oppression does exist in this world. You're not one of the people that are being oppressed. And so it is this bizarro fiction world that they have created. And look, you have the right wing that generally tends to be more authoritarian, and they project that onto the left. I don't care about what you're eating. I don't care about your... I could go the rest of my life and never learn about another person's poo and be very, very happy. And about what they eat. Okay? I don't want to control anybody's life. And you look at what the Supreme Court's doing right now. Stripping, for example, women of reproductive rights. That is controlling their bodies. It's controlling their lives. It's controlling what they do. Trying to criminalize, essentially, sex outside of marriage. So you tell me who's trying to tell, who what to do. Because it ain't the left. It ain't the left. So not Bill Gates, right? So Bill Gates, I don't consider Bill Gates to be part of the left. I think Bill Gates is a corporatist. I think he's a bit of a weird guy. Now, what do corporations want to do? Well, they want to make money. What do billionaires want to do? They want to make more money. Of course. And so, there is happens to be a demand for more sustainable meat sources in this country. Now that people are aware that, yes, our meat industry is unsustainable. I mean, studies have shown that growing interest in among U.S. consumers limiting meat intake based on the industry's impact on climate. According to a 2020 Gallup poll, 49% of people who were reducing their meat consumption of meat cited environmental reasons as a major factor. Meanwhile, the rising popularity of plant-based alternatives, whose production is said to emit anywhere from 30 to 90% less greenhouse gases than animal-based meat, has added pressure for the beef industry to address sustainability. And let's be honest, the meat industry as it exists now is not sustainable. We should actually do something about that. The executive director for the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef notes that, quote, "We won't be able to be in business if we don't stop climate change. In fact, nobody will be in business." So that's really disturbing, right? Because again, I like steaks, and I like burgers, and I like bacon. I want those things to be around. And I also want them to be done in a sustainable way. And we can do that if the industry actually is made to do that. And so now, and part of what they're looking to do, by the way, is not banning cows. Again, that's a lie. They're not banning cows, but some of the stuff that they're looking into do is a couple different things. One, engineering different feed that reduces cow emissions. I know they talk about cow farts. It's actually cow burps that are a big source of methane in agriculture. So yeah, if you come up with a food source that doesn't have that effect, well, then you can cut down on agriculture emissions by quite a bit. That makes sense to me, right? Now, another practice embraced by the industry is called regenerative farming. Part of that includes involves the use of cover crops to capture some of the carbon. Again, that's a smart idea. It's a fine idea. None of these problems by themselves, of course, are going to solve the climate crisis, but they do contribute to helping, and believe me, we need all the help that we can get, while also not taking away your steaks.